Chris, why don't you start? I feel like I will always start.
Give me the intro. I'll start it.
Well, it wouldn't be our podcast if the intro wasn't awkward.
Well, the music I'm going to put is Fuck the Police by...
That'd be awesome.
All right. Hello, this is Chris with the Twinjitsu podcast. What? It doesn't matter when you fade in.
Does she know what she's doing?
Hello, this is Chris with the Twinjitsu podcast, and we are here with Officer Kevin Johnson and former Marine, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
that is right.
So it's kind of crazy because we actually went to high school with Kevin. We didn't know each other, but without jiu-jitsu, we probably would have never crossed paths again unless he arrested me for these two guns. I've been working on that joke in my head for the past 24 hours.
Yeah.
Went well.
Yeah. So we're just going to talk about, how he got into jiu-jitsu and all that good stuff. So, Justin, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Justin. What's up? Yo.
So, terrible. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
Hope you're
no
doing
problem.
well. We just got done training. How'd you like the class have you ever trained with Professor Felipe before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he came in last weekend, right?
Probably.
I think it was
I
last
wasn't
Saturday.
there last Saturday.
Yeah, it was last Saturday.
He was teaching at Family First Martial Arts, but I think he's no longer teaching there. So I think he's going to be training with us at least a few days a week.
That'd be pretty sweet.
It's nice to get a different look from a different body type than because Professor Brian obviously doesn't play as the type of guard that Felipe plays. So it's cool. So I guess we'll start at the very beginning. So in high school, did you do sports or anything?
Yeah. Well, I played football through middle school, and then freshman year I broke my collarbone, so I was out for a little bit. And then, honestly, the thing that got me back into sports was mixed martial arts. We were on vacation one year, and my brother got the idea to order, I forget what UFC it was, but Matt Hughes.
UFC 69.
It was Matt Hughes and Royce Gracie, and that's what got us into it.
That's way back in the day.
Yeah. So after that, me and my brother started training. But there was, gyms were really scarce around this time. I think they're the closest ones in Nashville. So obviously we weren't able. I was still in high school, so it wasn't like I was gonna go train up there. So we just did our own, did some boxing. My dad boxed when he was younger, so he kind of helped us out. And then we found some Taekwondo place down in Columbia. I think it was karate Taekwondo, but there's a group of guys at their own fight team, and they trained after that. And most of them were all jiu-jitsu.
Like after hours?
Yeah, it was
training?
like 7:30 until like 9 or something. We'd go and train, and we just strictly did jiu-jitsu there.
So Michael was doing that too, or
No,
your
it was
brother?
it was your other brother.
Okay.
Yeah, it was my other brother. Michael wasn't. He would come every now and then, but he wasn't as into it as he wasn't wanting to compete at the time and stuff like that. And then I played rugby in high school, and then I had two. I'm not saying this is why I stopped, but it kind of gave me a good do I really want to do this? But I had 2 fights, amateur mixed martial arts fights, and lost both of them.
How'd you lose?
First one I got submitted, and then the
Do you
second
remember
one,
what it was?
yeah, rear naked choke. But it was because it was in a.
Were you guys naked?
No, I petitioned that before we fought. No, yeah, it was in a boxing ring. I think it's somewhere in Memphis. Both fights were way out in Memphis. One was in a middle school, and the other one was like in an old abandoned hangar. So it's pretty shady. I don't.
Could you imagine?
They don't do blood tests or anything. We had a friend who competed in an MMA fight. Literally had zero training. We would just watch UFCs and then in my bedroom pull my bed out and everything, and then just start. Fighting each other. And he got to the place, and they were like, "Did you get your blood work?" He's like, "No," and they're like, "Okay, you got it done." They just dude, it was so terrible.
When you said you fought at a middle school, all I could think of is imagine someone who got bullied in middle school and then eventually started training martial arts and then had their first amateur fight at a middle school and got their ass kicked.
Or be even better, at the middle school they got bullied.
Yeah.
PTSD.
But yeah.
So did you did just very little jiu-jitsu when you were doing that?
I wasn't
stuff?
at a structured school or anything like that.
Are you in contact with any of the people that you trained with?
No, I couldn't.
No.
Honestly, I think
You don't even remember.
I think
it?
one of the guys' name was Brian. I think I remember that. And he was I forget what, I think at the time he might have been a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, but I I don't remember. I didn't keep in touch, and then after that, high school. I think I got to the point where I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I didn't want to finish high school and go to college because I didn't want to go back to school. So then I just enlisted in the Marine Corps because a buddy of mine did it, and I asked him why he did it, and he said they said the Marine Corps is the hardest to do, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. And then
So because we talked before, you signed up for the Marines before you even graduated high school?
It was a summer. There's basically the start of my senior year.
And any of your siblings,
No, none of them did. None of them had any interest in that.
Any family members or anything?
My dad was in the Army for 4
okay.
years
Okay.
in the 80s, but
So in the Marine Corps, how much? Because I don't. Is combatives just Army or is that?
yeah, Army's got combatives. The Marine Corps has their own. They call it MCMAP, Marine Corps Martial Arts
Oh yeah,
Program.
I think I've heard of that.
And they have belt systems. So
Oh,
theirs
really?
is pretty good. Yeah, they actually have, if you wanted to, you can be basically an instructor and you travel the world and train with other people that are masters in certain, Jiu Jitsu, Muay Thai, anything like that. They travel all around the world and train with people and then basically take what they can do in full like kit, like flak jacket, everything, all that stuff.
That's cool.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
I want to. I mean, we can keep going through like the story of everything, but compared to being a police officer, how much like combatives or like hand-to-hand combat training do you get without like a pistol? You know what I mean? Like without, obviously you get like trained how to deal with situations and stuff. But,
Yeah, we train with everything because you can't just start with the pistol.
yeah.
But we train. You start from just as simple as verbal commands, and usually that helps. That goes further than anything, to be honest.
Just learning how to
learn how to
de-escalate.
talk to people. I'm not just saying like somebody's doing something wrong, you call them out and just go straight like yelling and tell them whatever, but just straight up talking to them. I don't know how many times I've talked to somebody that could have done just something completely violent or on the scene of something where like just everything went crazy, and you have to talk to them like treat them like a normal human being. That would get you further than
Yeah, you can't just assume
Yeah,
they're a criminal.
because most of the times when you're going, like, there's a lot of times I've had to go and, like lights and sirens or to help somebody out that got in a fight. And more times than not, it's just the way the situation started. It got escalated way too quick. But yeah, the academy is when we learn most of it, just verbal, stuff. Then basic, we call it soft to empty hand controls, like takedown techniques and stuff like that, or just getting basically like the armbar typical takedown, and then utilizing stuff on our belt. And obviously the weapon gun is the last resort. But we don't, as far as how much training we get, to me it's not enough.
Yeah, that's
Some
what I
people,
was curious about.
Yeah, some people that have never done anything like it, even more so, it's not enough for them. Me, I had a little bit of background, especially with like stand up when we work on like just hand fighting pretty much. Like before jiu-jitsu, I did a lot of train a little bit of Muay Thai and boxing and stuff like that. So that's what I love doing. I don't compete in it, and I love going to the gym and hitting the bag, but now I do jiu-jitsu more than anything. But yeah, definitely something.
Jiu-jitsu I would feel like as a police officer would be the best thing to learn too.
Oh yeah, and I've even talked to my wife about it, who's recently just started training. Like that's the best thing you can do as far as to me, as far as self-defense, even if you're not a police officer, just anything.
Yeah.
Because obviously you guys know you're up there high level, but it's just the best thing to do to me.
I feel like I've seen videos on the internet where like maybe some cops are struggling with like one person who's like, obviously they could be on like drugs and like just be like out of whack, but like struggling to apprehend like one person that like 3 or 4 guys that I feel like if they knew some jiu-jitsu, but I don't want to take away from their training or like say anything bad about them, but I feel like if they knew some simple jiu-jitsu, it would be much easier for them to control somebody.
Oh, definitely.
Dude, next competition, you just made me think. It's next competition. I'm gonna take some of them Rodney King drugs, dude. Just destroy everything.
It works because I'm sure you guys might have seen videos, but the thing a lot of people don't get to, I might go off on a tangent, but people assume since we're police officers that we're just automatically like Super Saiyan level 3 or something like that. Like, it's not true. Like, we have people that have never been in a fight a day in their life, but they just want to be a police officer.
Right.
And it doesn't mean they're a bad police officer.
Not at all. You don't have to be a high-level fighter to be a police officer. Sometimes that can get you in trouble because you're just looking for that fight, But there's people, that go that are under the influence of something. I don't know whether it's drugs, alcohol, whatever. I mean, they just taser don't work, OC spray doesn't work. I mean, it's like, and at that point, some of those crazy situations on TV where officer uses deadly force and stuff, like, well, it looks like it should have been more done, but we don't know. They hardly ever show the full thing.
Yeah. Right.
So maybe that person was at the last resort. Like, I feel like I'm gonna be dead if I don't do something here.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it comes to that. But yeah, simple jiu-jitsu. I mean, there was a video, I think, was it Henry Gracie that just put it on his Instagram, I think. I don't remember. But he does all that officer breakdown stuff.
Yeah.
And there was one, it was a rookie officer. He takes this dude down. First thing he does, knee on belly.
Yeah.
And he's got just his knee on belly, and he's able to hold the crowd off. And he even, I think, picks up his hat at one point and puts it back. Like, obviously he knows jiu-jitsu, and he was just, like, completely calm in that situation. Was able to get him in custody.
Yeah, I feel like if more officers train jiu-jitsu, not only for the techniques, but for their ego and stuff, you know, knowing that, I mean, anything could happen, you know. I feel
And
like it would be
probably
so
dealing with
beneficial.
the stress and like general anxiety from that job. I feel like you're always in like tense, high intensity situations. You never know what could happen. Like being able to train and let that aggression and shit out.
Oh, yeah.
I almost feel, I think Henner, I know there's a lot of jiu-jitsu academies that have either extreme discounts, or I've even heard of certain jiu-jitsu academies where it's free for police officers. I almost feel like that's kind of how it should be.
It should be free, or the police department should pay for it.
Yeah, the previous department I was with, I just recently moved, but there's a lot of guys that teach that aspect of it, and they couldn't say it enough during the academy. It's just whether, you know, like, hey, they were naming several gyms around the area. This is where you should guys go, and a lot of them were high-level belts in jiu-jitsu, but it's hard to get somebody, especially who's never trained it, and the only thing they learn is simple, you know, hip escape to get out of something, you know, like stuff like that, and they don't. I mean, somebody who's never done jiu-jitsu, at least when I first started, all of it was a different language, like a completely different language. So it's hard for somebody to catch on it real quick until, unfortunately, it's going to take that, you know, that incident on the street where they're fighting with somebody, and then, because I mean, you never know, especially you work somewhere where there's a high like tourist, you know, like destination where people come from all over the place. There might be somebody that's drunk and acting stupid that's a brown black belt in jiu-jitsu, and then you take them down, and then all of a sudden they sweep you and get on top, and you're like, oh, this person knows jiu-jitsu. Like,
I think that's almost the scariest part about, like, it's like people that know jiu-jitsu that aren't good people. I mean, that's scary, dude. If there's some asshole that knows what he's doing, he can really fuck people up.
Yeah.
So I guess we can get into what brought you to our gym, Gracie Baja Franklin. How did it all start? And
me and brother Michael, you guys know him. I don't know if you've known it.
He has a bunch of tattoos.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He's been in and out lately, but me and him were talking about it. I've been wanting to do it for a while because we're big. I mean, I know it sounds like typical, everybody says it, but we're big mixed martial arts fans. Not just UFC, everything. You know, we grew up watching Pride and other stuff. But
you guys owned a lot of tap out T-shirts.
No, I think I might have had one, to be honest. We didn't go as far as Affliction. We never did that thing.
Good.
Or the Extreme Couture stuff. But yeah, he was wanting to do it, and he was pushing it pretty hard. And it was right before I think I started. I think it was after I got out. Yeah, it was like my first year on the police department I was with. He started looking at gyms, going there because I didn't have time to. And he told me once he said, "Yeah, man, I went to Gracie Baja Franklin. They're pretty cool." And I was like, "Cool, we'll sign up." Now
So was that the first gym he tried at? Oh.
That was. Well, he went to one down where we live, and he just didn't get a good vibe from it. I'm not gonna say which one it was, but he didn't.
We'll talk after the podcast.
Yeah, he just didn't feel like it was. I don't know. I think it was honestly when he went to Gracie Baja. He asked about early classes, and when he got the weird look back, it's like, why would you train jiu-jitsu that early? And the brother's like, yeah, it's a cool place. they're pretty relaxed. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
That's funny.
So yeah, he signed. He started like a week or two before I did, and then I just followed suit afterwards and started training.
So I was listening to a podcast, a guy we train with. Do you know Ryan Kleckner? He was a former paratrooper, I'm pretty sure. Or actually, he was a sniper in, I don't know what branch of the military.
I probably
He's super cool, man. But he was on he did a podcast with Hoist Gracie.
Oh,
yeah, he's got like his own podcast and stuff. He's written a book, but
dude, we need to write a book.
Oh yeah, it'd be so good. I've never even read a book. So Hoist Gracie was just saying, Ryan was talking about Gracie Baja and stuff because he had his kids. They tried another gym and didn't really get a good vibe. And Hoist Gracie was saying it's the best advice he can give is just go try every gym you can before you decide, because man, you're not going to fit in every gym, and that's fine. You know, it doesn't make one gym better than the other. It's just, you know, different vibes or whatever. I never tried jiu-jitsu at another gym, but that's because my brother was working at our gym. But
I tell that to people when they talk, like when they're interested in jiu-jitsu. Like first I find out where they live, like what gyms are close, but I always tell them like there's free trials everywhere. Just try it, because the most important thing is that you're comfortable wherever you are and that you want to be there. Because if it's just, sometimes you just don't vibe with everyone.
So, your first class, do you remember what the experience was like? Did you get smashed?
Yeah, I think
Michael started training first, right?
Yeah, he was training like a week or two before me.
So did you take your first class with him?
Yeah, he was there.
Did he try and put the smack down on you?
No,
okay.
I think as far, because obviously we got a lot of siblings. There's 6 of us total.
Oh,
me and
dang,
Michael, I think, are like the closest. I know we're like different in size and stature and stuff, but we're like the closest as far as like, if there's one brother or a family member that if I had to fight and I'd be a little nervous with, it'd be Michael. Just because he's so like, jiu-jitsu's perfect for him because he's got the mind for it. Me, I just think too much, and I'm like, sometimes I just try to use like brute strength, and obviously that doesn't work sometimes.
He's good, man. I mean, I enjoy it. Every time I train with him, I enjoy it.
Is he a blue belt now or a white belt?
He should. I mean, he's
should,
there.
Yeah, he's just
But he's gotta
work
take
and other
time
stuff
off.
going on. He's had to take some time off.
He's got like kids, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got 2 kids.
Yeah, but he's good, man. His passing is good. He does like some weird, spinning shit.
Like the stuff. I'm a low-level blue belt, just got promoted, but like I look at stuff on Instagram and I'm like, oh yeah, I could try that. And it doesn't work. He sees it and it's already in his, like he's done it a million times already.
Yeah.
Like he'll show me something like, and it takes me forever to learn it, but he's always been like that. He taught himself how to play guitar and other instruments. It's just like he's a freak.
Yeah.
A mutant.
Yeah. But yeah, I like training with him a lot. So was it like humbling when you first train? Like, do you remember who you rolled with your first? I mean,
the
I'm
one that
assuming specific.
It was
training.
either the first day or second day. I got submitted by Mina. Like, I think she put me in an armbar within the same iteration. I think it was a fundamentals class, so we weren't going that long. It wasn't the 8, 10-minute rounds. It was probably like 5 minutes or something. But I got submitted with an armbar like at least 6 or 7 times.
For those who don't know, she's purple belt now, but she's like 115 pounds.
But
man, that's got
freaking
a
crazy.
beast.
Yeah, she's really good, and I think that's one of the best things for people is like when you come in and try a class, and then you get paired up with a girl that's half your size. Well, she's like the same size as you, but but someone like that submits you, you're like, holy shit. I mean, that's how it was with me. Like
me too.
With Felix, who runs Artista, he's a small dude, and I mean, our first time rolling, he probably submitted me 5 or 6 times. And I was like, dude, I can't even believe this right now.
That's my first coach, who was like the original coach at Gracie Baja Franklin, was a purple belt at the time. But he was a small guy, and the one and only time I really rolled with him or like did specific training, he smashed me. And I was like so happy after class. I was like, that's so cool. And then his girlfriend, she was only a white belt, but she'd been training longer than me. She submitted me too one time. And there was like 2 moments where I felt like I was like, that's when I got the spark. Like, this really works.
He would start training like almost a year, like 8 months before me, kept training. He's like, dude, you got to come train. You got to come train. And one night at our house, we were drinking. And I'd watch UFC and stuff, so I knew how to do a triangle. So we start wrestling around, and I got him in a triangle, and he'd been training a couple months, and he tapped out, and dude, he got so
I don't think it was a triangle. I feel like it was a rear naked choke.
I think either way, he was like, it's the floor. If we were on the mats, I would have destroyed you. That's funny.
Yeah.
So have you tried to get any of your siblings into it, or?
No, none of them are. I mean, Michael's the only one that has an interest in doing it. Other one, I mean, if my little brother lived here, he might. But he lives in LA. He's an actor.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's man, how old is he? He's a couple years younger than I am. I think like 2 years younger. It's like 26, I think, 27.
Man, he should get out. He should get into it, man. He's in the mecca of.
Yeah, I mean, he listens to all those podcasts too that we listen to and all that. So he's always hearing about it. But for him, I think it's more or less time and money and stuff like that.
How often does he come out here?
I don't remember the last time. I think it was the last time he was here around Christmas. Not as much as I would like him to.
Next time he's out here, you should just see if he'll come try a class.
He definitely would.
I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, if you're an actor, I feel like you're probably more.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I can't think of the word, but you would be more likely to go into an uncomfortable situation because you gotta.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you try and get any of your fellow police officers, colleagues?
I've definitely tried.
Yeah.
Because one of them I used to work with, he was the one that, he's shorter than I am, a lot more stockier.
So is he a midget? Are there any midget police officers? Sorry, I know that's.
I'm sure there are
probably somewhere.
That'd be awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but he'd be the one that's just quick to pick someone up and try to tackle him and stuff. And there's certain times he's like, dude, dude's like twice your size. Don't do that. You're gonna crush your head, you know. So I'd talk to him like, dude, you should try, Jiu Jitsu. He's like, no, I got a kid, not enough time, and all that stuff. I'm like, all right. And I mean, I've tried, but most of the people didn't live, or that I used to work with, didn't live in this area, so they're more or less just where they want to drive to and stuff. But
have you had to use jiu-jitsu, or like, have you?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it. Obviously, we can't use like any.
You can't
choke.
or anything like that.
That's so fucking lame.
that makes no sense.
Well,
like even if you're arresting somebody.
Yeah, because
It's
someone
alive,
died.
if
Yeah,
someone
somebody's died. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's to me. You don't. Depending on where you're at, there are a lot of situations where you're going to be by yourself. But if you're by yourself and you're having to choke somebody, I think at that point it's life or death.
Yeah.
To me, the training or whatever, that's what I mean. If we're in that position,
Yeah.
you can.
But if there's
you
two
can choke
police
somebody.
officers
But if there's
on
two
one
police,
guy-
and I think in the case where somebody died, there's like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the one in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The real
That was a real. Yeah, that was.
And then the
bad,
way
man.
the other thing they're doing too is a lot of people do it. They get them on the ground or on their stomach, and they almost like a knee on back instead of
the
knee on
lower
belly.
back,
Yeah. But they put their knee on, they put all their weight, and then they can't. For a little bit, they can breathe, but you're slowly putting more pressure on the lungs, and they'll pass out from that. And that's what usually what happens, and that's why I mean, we don't practice that either. If anything, just get them on the back and pin their legs down or something like that, or more or less their hips.
Are they really big on like? Because like the way police officers are portrayed on social media, it's. I mean, when I was a young kid, I used to be like, screw the cops, you know? But,
Everybody was. I was too.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
I
how you
skateboarded,
are.
so I hated. I hated
But
police
the
for a
older
while.
I get, I'm like, dude, they're trying to do their job.
Yeah.
And not, I mean, our mom used to work for the police department. 95% of them are trying to do good, and there may be 5% that aren't. But are they like big on trying to avoid scandals, like not scandals, but you know what I mean, like trying to avoid situations like in New York,
and that's
and
why
stuff?
the training is a lot different than what I mean. You, at least where I work, you talk to the people that have been on for 30 years. There, it's a completely different world from what they policed in when they started to what we're policing in.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, that's you don't even notice it until you look up or you finally get somebody in custody and you put them in a car and you see how many people have their phones out, because it's
crazy
to me. And I tell Alice, but I'll tell my wife, like when we're out, like if something like that happens, the last thing I'm gonna do is try to get involved and take video of. When I see police officers working, I'm like, yeah, let's just go the other way.
Yeah.
You see lights, like, nah, let's go the other way. But some people just, it's the way the world we live in. But they're always videotaping, so you always have somebody watching, and you may never know if that video shows up. And luckily, you're doing everything right. But some people, I mean, if you do one thing wrong and somebody videotapes put on YouTube, your career possibly over. So it's a completely different world. But that's why they train so hard on doing everything. If you're going by, every department has their own policy, but most policies stress real hard on verbal commands over anything. You always want to prevent going hands-on.
And we're not going to name the departments, but the department you left and the department you're at, do they have body cams?
The one I'm at now does, yeah.
Yeah, but
One I
the
didn't.
previous
Yeah,
one
no,
didn't.
didn't.
It's so crazy.
A lot of it has to do with funding in the city.
Yeah, I mean,
with
it's
what
gotta
they're
be
willing
so
to.
expensive.
Yeah, I mean it is, and that's and then, oh, man, I did get into a lot of what money was used for there and all that stuff. But I mean, it's just whatever the city wants to spend the money on is what you're gonna. And a lot of people are like, oh, then it's like they take it out on you. Like, we're the reasons we don't have body cams. It's not like they go, hey, officer, do you want to wear this? They're going to tell us, dude. It's not like we have a choice. Yeah. And honestly, I'm one of those officers. I don't care if we have body cams. It's just going to help us. When we get involved in incidents, somebody complains, here's the footage, as long as you're doing everything right. But.
Yeah, I feel like you only wouldn't want a body cam if you were doing something wrong. Yeah, exactly. So you've competed before, right? Yeah. How do you think, because being a police officer, you're in stressful situations all the time. Were you nervous at all for the competition, or?
Yeah, you're nervous, but not, I guess I'll put it this way. There's some traffic stops I've made where I'm more nervous about that than going up or competing with them. This is a bad habit for me, and this is why I probably don't do as well as I should in competitions, but I know it's not life or death. Yeah. So sometimes I think the last one I competed in, I competed in 2 different weight classes because I needed somebody. In my original weight class, I got swept. Everybody just beat the crap out of me. So the next weight class, I just had that chip on my shoulders. I don't even care anymore, and I won.
You won?
Yeah. So
what belt was it at?
I was a white belt. I was 4-stripe, but I wasn't blue belt yet. But yeah, it's just I gotta get used to trying to turn that switch on. It's hard for me to do it sometimes.
Yeah. Do you? You have a lot of experience, so maybe not. But do you feel like jiu-jitsu's helped with staying calm in like situations where you start to get nervous, like on a traffic stop or something like that?
Yeah, I think with traffic stops, the only reason they're nervous because you don't know what you're getting into. Yeah. You never know. Depending on where you're policing at, where you're making the traffic stop at. And you see all these, in our training, we see all these videos where an officer is just simply walking up to the car and somebody gets out and they got a gun. You never know. But as far as like dealing with somebody, I know it sounds so bad, and Michael asked me this when we first started training. He was like, we'd be hanging out. He goes, dude, do you ever like see people now if they're wearing like certain coats? You ever think about all the chokes you could do? I'm like, yeah, obviously. But like when we're taught to try to play scenarios in your head. Like, if this person does this, how are you going to react to it? Which is jiu-jitsu. Yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go for this. And then the person's typically going to do this. I'm going to go for that. It's like a chess game. But I do that all the time now, especially like in the winter when people are wearing big bulky jackets or blazers and stuff. You're just like, especially people wearing ties all the time. Like, man, those people don't kill you. Like, what
I don't trust any man wearing a scarf. Like, you're just asking for trouble. I just want to
dick
squeeze. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Is if you're wearing a scarf and a short sleeve shirt, you deserve to be
remember to get rid of my scars. I only got on a scarf. But yeah, it definitely helps and it does make me feel more comfortable, and like I'm not worried. I guess if somebody was, you can always tell when somebody's thinking about fighting.
Yeah,
so just ready to.
There was one time when I was a teenager, we got pulled over and the officer knew that we were up to no good, and he pulled us out individually out of the car. And there were actually 2 officers, but my buddy was up front. He was wasted, and he kept saying, the officer pulled one person out, and so we're in the car, and my buddy kept saying, I'm finna run. I'm finna run. And I'm like, no, dude, don't run. So he pulls, then he goes to pull, because he's in the passenger seat, he goes to pull him out. He opens the door, and within 1 second slams the door shut, and he's like, dude, you look like you're about to run. And he's like, nah. Then he pulls him out, and eventually we're all sitting on the side of the road, and my buddy kept saying, I'm finna run. I'm like, no, dude. But yeah, it's crazy. You're just put in so many situations, you can just tell. It's the same with jiu-jitsu, right? I mean, you can just sense what's coming.
For me, it's sort of getting there.
Yeah.
So blue belt. So I'm starting to pick up.
You guys get trained on like reading body language and stuff like that? That's cool.
And most of the training you get when you're out on the streets. Yeah. Like, I've seen so many, and it's just certain situations. Like, we had one where we were picking up somebody was trying to get somebody with a warrant that's working at a restaurant where I used to police at. And me and my buddy were helping out, and I know the rest. We've been there several times. There's windows all around the restaurant, so the dude's more likely going to see us out there, and we're covering all entrances, and we're like, oh, there's a side entrance. So you always know somebody, and you go off of what they have, what the history, what warrants they have. Like, all right, they're going to run because they don't want to go to jail for this. And then sure enough, when we went to the side entrance, we see them already trying to get out. Or, like you go up and you're talking to them, and they got a warrant or something, and they already start realizing, like, oh, shoot, I do have that one warrant. And you can tell. They're starting to look around. Like, whenever they're standing there talking to you and they're looking, like,
Where's their best
where's the
escape?
best way to go? Yeah, and then that's when usually I call them out. I'm just like, don't do it because I really like running. I do it on my own time.
Oh, that's
sprints.
funny.
Or I'll lie and be like, I just got out of the academy yesterday, so I'm still pretty in shape. So I'll run all day. And they're just like, all right.
So that kind of brought a question in my head,
Same
and
here.
this is
Probably the same question.
no disrespect to any police officers out there, but do you feel like because I feel like there is you guys do have some sort of base level of fitness you have to pass through the academy. Is there not?
No, it depends on the academy.
Okay.
Usually every academy,
Academy or police department?
police department.
Oh.
Well, every academy's not every academy is gonna be different. Certain police departments don't have their own academy, so they'll send you to like a state. Like I think in Florida, what you do is you go to an academy. You can get at a police department to pay your way through it, or you can just go to the academy. Then once you pass, you put your applications in to all these police departments. Where I went to, they had their own academy, and there was a baseline that you had to pass. But then after that, you didn't have to.
Yeah, there's no test, right?
There's a test every year. You have to do it, but there's not a limitation. Like you
There's
can,
no minimum requirement.
Oh, you just
That's
have to
kind of
take.
crazy,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, because what I was thinking of, I feel like there's some cops that I've seen that I'm just like, for sure I'm
Yeah.
outrunning this motherfucker.
and I would say it's a lower percentage of police department officers on the police department. There's a low percentage that actually continue to stay in shape.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like that's a
There
problem.
needs to be an
Oh, yeah.
incentive or something.
I definitely agree. But at the same time, they got to look at it. The department may want it, but then it's like, well, if we do that, how many of these people are going to stay in the department? And how short are we going to be? And that becomes a big issue, not only for the safety of the city, but the safety of the officer in the department. If you're cutting down manpower down half, it's like, man, I don't have backup like I used to and all that stuff. So, I mean,
That's true.
it just, I don't know. I mean, I have worked with officers where I felt like, oh man, you should work out a little bit more. But then at the end of the day, like, I guess it's kind of like when I was in the military too. Somehow they surprise you and you're like, God, this person still moves like real quick and they can handle their own if they need to. But there are some that you're like, no, I think you need to go to the gym a little bit more. At least do something.
Yeah.
And that's why jiu-jitsu is perfect because you get a workout and you're also learning how to defend yourself.
And I feel like and I'm making a big generalization, but I would feel like maybe people who, like officers who aren't in the best of shape, don't have hand-to-hand combat like training and as extensive training, they're more likely to take it to that next level of force or whatever. And maybe I'm wrong. But
Yeah, and I think a lot of the issues too is, and like I said, it depends on the department. It depends on how their manpower, but whether or not they can get back up. And me, like I'm somebody that I feel like I can hold my own. I train, I do jiu-jitsu, I work out. But even if I feel like the person that I'm talking to or I'm dealing with might fight, I call for another car. Just go ahead and get somebody around, just in case when they show up and we're on the ground tussling, they can jump in and help. Because my biggest thing is I want to go home at the end of the day, injury-free, be able to train the next day or go to work the next day and not have to worry about it. Because if I did come home hurt or something like that or I'm in the hospital, my wife would probably kill me. So, more than likely.
Have you ever told someone like that you pulled over that's trying to do something, you ever like, do you even train, bro?
No,
That's what I would say.
I've never asked that.
You should just wear your blue belt on your duty belt.
Yeah, I made jokes on a guy that day. I was gonna wear it at work, but no. I mean, some people they usually tell, and they'll ask you just, I guess, for clarification. How much you lift or something like that. Like there was this dude I used to deal with all the time. I mean, I'm cool with him. A couple of times we've had to arrest him, but he always got drunk, and he just was. And he's a big guy, but he was just always a hassle when he was drunk. And every time I'd see him, I'd mess with him. I'm like, yo, what up, man? He'd know me by my name. I know his name. And then he'd always ask me, man, how often you work out? And all this stuff. I'm just like, whatever. I was like,
More than you
I
do.
was like, keep talking and we'll find out. It's just making jokes with them. But yeah, they can tell. They know which ones they can get away from or which ones they don't want to bother with.
So I feel like we didn't really get deep into like the Marine when you were in the Marine Corps. Did we?
we talked about it. We kind of
Briefly.
segued a little
Yeah.
bit.
So did they ever bring in like jiu-jitsu black belts or anything to train you guys, or?
I'm sure that some units might have
But
had
not-
something like that, but it wasn't like a regular thing. Like I said, most of the people that teach us are martial arts. But you can go to and become a. So we had belts. It's tan belt, gray belt.
Fucking camo belt, brother.
Yeah, it was like tan, gray, green, brown, and black. And from I think you can starting with green, you can become like a green belt instructor, or whatever, where you can teach. You can basically get people trained up to that belt.
Yeah.
And then
That's
brown
the,
belt.
that's the green berets. They're all green belts. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, and then from there, but most of them were all like black, and it's the same thing as a black belt. And I think they probably got it from other type of martial arts, especially jiu-jitsu, whatever. You have tabs, the same like, or at least start with the black belt. You can get
So what
red
belt
tab,
did you get to?
brown. But I mean, that goes to like if your buddy becomes an instructor, like you can pretty much guarantee, like, hey man, you're gonna get me a brown belt. I mean, you'll go through this. Like my buddy went to the school and he became an instructor, but I told him like, yeah, let's go over the moves. I want to train it and stuff like that. So we logged it in.
So there, I mean, you couldn't just go train somewhere and end up getting your black belt in whatever it was called.
Marine Corps martial arts. You'd have to go each step, and usually you got to get approved through your command because you don't have the time. I mean, depending, whatever. I mean, there may be a job where you can do that if they offer it at that base that you're on or something like that. Or, but hey, if you guys want to go to the gym on your off time, this guy's gonna be there. He's teaching. So yeah, you probably could. We didn't really have that much time until I was in security forces, and that kind of gave me more time. That's when I got. So
did they have like at the? I guess you can talk a little bit about that, but you were stationed. What was it? When you were doing like the high level security stuff.
I was in DC, and then from there I went to Camp David.
Camp David, yeah. So when there, like, did they have like a gym with mats and stuff that you guys could train at?
Yeah, we had mats, so we can pull them out of that. I mean, that was. There, it didn't really feel like me and my buddies made jokes. We felt like we weren't in the Marine Corps because we were just on a vacation, and like our barracks are literally kind of like way better than most other barracks, stuff like that. But so, but yeah, we had time to do anything we wanted. Really, they're pretty good.
Who would win, an Army combatives person or a Marines martial arts person?
See, I don't know what I don't know what entails with Army combatives and stuff like that. I don't know what all they go through.
We went and trained, me and Professor Edgy and someone else, we went and trained with the combatives people at Fort Campbell. It was pretty cool. I mean,
they have
I
a
didn't
full
get
gym, like
MMA
gym,
full
right?
mats and stuff.
Do they? Because I know with the Marine Corps, like I said earlier, the like black belt like instructors, if they travel around and they basically like I said, they learn stuff from every type of martial art, and if they can, if it's applicable to combat and stuff like that with your full kit, they incorporate in our training program. So I don't know if I'm sure Army Combat is the same thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know. They just the guy that set it up worked at Fort Campbell. He's in the Army. He's I don't know. He's high up. Like he doesn't even have his real. I don't know his real name. That's like a fake name. But he brought us in, and I guess I don't know if he taught. I don't really know. They had like gis, like Army gis, which was kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know too much about it, but we did go out there. It was cool.
I sometimes will just get sucked into a rabbit hole of watching like military
gay porn.
Well, I have military stuff because that's what I masturbate to. But I think it was the Army where they do like where they full on like fight each other. Is that?
Yeah, the Marine Corps does that too.
They do that.
Yeah.
Like, do you wear gloves or anything, or do you not punch? It's just like grappling.
Is that something that you're supposed to do, or no?
It's and like, how often did you get hard while you were doing it?
That I mean, we'll grapple. I guess is what, like at least what we did. Now high level, they do. I mean, just competition stuff. Yeah, they will. I mean, I don't just from stories and stuff what I hear, but yeah, usually every little base that you have, or every like each. Like I guess like Camp Pendleton, for instance, has multiple bases on it, or camps, as you call it. So that's where your units are and stuff like that. There's always some type of like pit, like with just the was like the rubber little pieces or whatever. And some PT sessions we just go in there and grapple. We just have our boots and camis on and stuff, no top or anything. We just go in there and.
Ooh,
I mean, you got your shirt on and everything, but no like.
I'm getting turned on right
now. But yeah, we just grapple and work for stuff like that. But sometimes it sucks, especially if the person's wearing like a steel toe boot or something like that.
Couldn't imagine.
Well, especially I feel like since you're like I don't know, that would be a different mindset than like a jiu-jitsu class. I feel like if someone's in the military, most of the time you're gonna get some very tough roles, like people trying to not hurt you, but just like 100%.
Yeah,
competitiveness. I'm sure
there's always the people that wrestled like in high school.
Oh yeah,
like it was like weird. Like there would be times we're just either going for a workout, not even that, or like playing football or something. They'd like, the person's always like aggressive, trying to like inflict pain on somebody. He's like, dude, what's wrong with you? What? And I'm not saying anything against wrestlers, but I'm just saying it was always that person that was wanting to
Yeah, when a
Go
guy
all the
like
time.
comes in and tries his first class and he had wrestling experience, you can always
I'm not
tell you
rolling
like
with
this
them.
dude's trying to hurt
I will
me.
avoid the hardest not to roll
Yeah.
at first.
Is this is a random question, but is there a lot of steroid use in the military?
No. Yeah, I
Really?
mean, dude, there's certain, at least in the Marine Corps, there's certain like pre-workouts we can't use. Like you
Really?
usually get an updated list all the time, and they'll post it somewhere
And
in
you
your
get like
barracks or
tested
something.
and shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I would think that. I would almost think that steroid like they would want you.
Well, that's I mean I think they probably
Well, I mean, I think
It's the
that's where-
Marines, man. We don't need it.
yeah.
I
Well,
think
that's what I was
where
gonna say. I
steroids
think
started though was like
the military?
the Nazis.
Oh, yeah.
I'm almost positive.
Yeah, but I think
Russians, probably.
they were doing other like they were it's like
They were doing meth and stuff
yeah
too.
also
I think.
keeping them march for like days. So I don't know. I don't know if they did steroids.
So was there a lot of meth use in the Marine
oh
Corps?
no, I'm just kidding. No.
So I think one last thing that I kind of want to talk about. So what's it like having your wife starting jiu-jitsu? What has it been? Has it been like what's it been like? You guys,
No, I like it a lot because it gives us more time to spend together. Because I would be at work and then in my previous part I worked a lot of overtime, so we wouldn't see each other that much. And then throwing jiu-jitsu with that, there'd be times I think she was talking about earlier today at class where like I didn't go because she would give me a hard time for going and stuff like that. But now that she does it, I mean, and I'm not working that much overtime. We're spending more time than we did before, so it's
Yeah.
good.
have you been partnered up with her like to drill techniques together or anything?
Usually we don't, but I think there was one open mat that I just got thrown into having to deal with because we came in on Thursday and professor was gone and there was her and two other white belts
At
and
lunch
just me and I
class.
was just like, all right, just if you need to work on anything, so I rolled her a little bit, but she's getting good.
Because I know when my wife, she took a few classes.
she trained
and-
for like a month at one point almost.
Yeah, and also I was a blue belt at the time, and I would get really frustrated when she couldn't do a technique, like, and now I feel like a dick, but have you experienced that at all, where you like,
I don't get frustrated. I see her over there, like she catches on pretty good.
yeah,
I think I told her the day when we were doing the warm-ups, she started doing, like when we're working on the triangles, you know how many people just move their legs and they're not, and she was actually getting up, lifting her hips up, doing the triangle motion right. I was pretty proud of her.
do you
And
guys
she's
just
got
start wrestling at the house at all? No,
Not yet.
Not
not
yet.
yet.
It'll happen for sure. There's
Let's-
times where me and my wife are just, laying in bed, and I'll just start trying to, throw in a triangle or something.
Hot, dude.
Yeah.
I guess you guys are like choking each other and stuff. Though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm into it.
I do have a funny story about that.
All right, let's hear it. You can't just say you have a funny story about
Yeah,
something.
no.
I kind of want to say it off air. I mean, I guess I
no,
can say it.
no, just
A
say
girl I kind of
Give us
dated
the PG
a little
version of
bit.
choking
She
it. Oh,
she took private lessons from me, and then it turned out she liked me or whatever. So we kind of like saw each other a little bit. But we were making out or whatever. Things were getting hot and heavy, and like I'm like, oh shit, like whatever. And then all of a sudden, she just slapped a triangle on me. Like she like started pushing my arm away, and I'm like kissing it. And then boom, she just slapped a triangle on me and started choking me. And then I tapped. I thought it was pretty. I don't know. I just wanted to
dude,
say
Erin
this.
is gonna be so pissed.
No, she's not,
Dude, yes, she
This was years ago.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I feel like I asked. I have a ticket that I'll talk to you about after. I'll see if I can get out of it. But
I can't get you out of there right now.
So I guess plug your Instagram. I know you're not on Facebook, but
Yeah, I don't have Facebook.
you don't have to plug your.
Yeah, you don't
Instagram.
have
I mean,
to,
I
but
don't care. It'll
we
be
have like 3 listeners. So if you want 3 new followers, then
the what is it? The
Duke
the
of
Duke
Spring
the
Hill.
Duke of Spring Hill. Yeah,
Oh, there
'cause
you
my
go.
wife is the Duchess of Spring Hill.
And then I know Alice wanted you to plug our
Yeah,
gym.
Oh yeah, Gracie Baja Frank. Well, I guess it's GB Franklin on
Yeah.
Instagram, right? GB
Yeah.
Franklin.
Well, just Gracie Baja Franklin. If you want to train somewhere, come train.
Didn't somebody post questions or something like that?
Oh yeah, they were all.
there is
It's
one
all
thing-
about weed.
Yeah, well,
That's fine. We
No,
can
there's
talk
one thing
about
I want to talk about. So, with the legalization of like CBD, it's popping up everywhere. Are they educating you guys? Like, because man, there is some CBD stuff you can buy at stores that looks
And
exactly
smells.
smells, everything looks just like regular weed. Have they educated you guys? And how would you even
They have
deal with
test
that?
kits, right?
Yeah, here's the thing.
Yeah,
At
at
least
least a pipe and a lighter. Yeah, that tastes like.
I don't, and I could just most of the stuff like that with weed, like it's already to the point where, I mean, I think it was last year, year before, where the state tried to pass just making it
Like
a like a ticketable offense.
Yeah.
Like if it's less than this certain, it's like, hey, you got to pay this fine, or whatever. And then they got rid of that again. So, but I mean, it's like nobody really. I mean, I'm not saying you can't go. You can go around and do it. Nobody's gonna care.
Yeah.
But we don't get educated on it because it's like it's getting to that point where more like it's gonna be legal in the next, whatever few years. So it's not something that we're harping on.
You think it's gonna be?
Yeah, I mean, just go on what you're seeing. Anybody can go ahead and assume that it's gonna be.
Have you
legal.
seen any of the stuff like that you can just buy at stores now? Probably not.
No, I have. I don't.
It's crazy, man. I mean, like the hemp flour or whatever.
Well, most of the stuff, or at least where I worked, I mean, there'd be stuff. The stuff that they're selling is used for more, like higher, like I guess more hardcore drugs than weed, like glass, like pens that are made out of glass where you can just take the top off and it's a glass pipe, and it's like other stuff that they're selling with it, like right next to it, and you're like, really? You're just selling pens and that stuff because that's
You
what
mean at
wanna
like
sell.
a
It's like a
head
crack
shop or something?
Or just like a quick stop, like
Oh, okay.
like someone that just runs a gas station and
Selling
stuff, and
crack
like,
pipes and
Yeah, it's
stuff?
like, dude, come on. They know, but they're gonna play, like, oh no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, come on. So no, I don't. It's not a big issue as far as the CBD and stuff like that. Nobody's really.
What's the biggest? I guess what drug do you think is causing the most problems in your previous department? I guess you have more experience, but
Fentanyl is a big issue. I
Yeah.
mean, that's everywhere, and the reason why it's, because you don't. People can go buy something that they think is one thing, but they don't know that it's they use
in it.
fentanyl to break, and then they end up ODing.
It almost makes no sense to me why.
I don't know.
I have a belief.
I mean, fentanyl's cheaper, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess. In my opinion, if
And
you're selling stuff with fentanyl, I think you should
a
be
lot
charged
of people
with.
use it for like a cutting agent.
Yeah.
And that's when people don't know. And then, but man, I've worked, hospitals stuff where people come in and they OD on that, and then I mean, obviously when you get stuck with Narcan when you OD, you're up. Like, it's the craziest thing. I don't know if you guys ever seen it or not.
I've seen a video.
videos.
You
Yeah,
just
like a body
you
cam
get
video.
shot
You're
with
literally
it. They
dead.
hook you up, and then you're up,
Yeah.
and you're ready to go for round 2 or 3, whatever you're on.
crazy.
Do you guys carry at your
Yeah.
old? You carry Narcan. That's good. Man.
I never had to. Usually when we get the call, they're already
Dead.
No, not that. Like they've already OD'd, or whatever. They're getting rushed to the hospital, and then as soon as the ambulance gets there, they hit them up with it.
Yeah, we've known. I mean, way too many people that have overdosed.
probably-
die. Over 10 people.
No, I would say over 20 or more. If you can, I started thinking about the other day. Just
It's
people,
crazy.
People who were
Yeah.
close, some that were close friends at one point in our lives, and then some people that we just knew, whatever, like in high school and shit. But it's fucking insane, and it's happening all the time.
Yeah,
every
but-
few months there's somebody that.
It seems like the most common thing is they'll be using with other people.
Yep.
They'll OD, and those people will just fucking leave them.
That or we've had people like literally drop them out of a car at the
Yeah.
hospital where I'm working, then they just drop them, and then if you catch them soon enough, like, hey, what, who was like, oh, we don't know him, we just found him. Like, really?
Yeah.
Come on.
That's
Like-
would be a whole nother issue, but in a lot of ways, I think all drugs should be decriminalized, like unless you're selling it or something like that.
Yeah.
But because if they weren't scared of like being in trouble for bringing like someone who OD'd, less people would die.
And
I feel like.
that's the thing. Most people think like when they bring them over to the hospital, like they're gonna get arrested. I'm like, look, I don't. Yeah, it's not like I can just arrest you for dropping somebody. I'm not going to.
Unless like you don't have heroin on you, right?
Like even if I think I was at a point one time when somebody was caught in the bathroom somewhere doing it, but it was at a hospital, and they were using. But he was ODing, and they were like, "Yeah, he needs to be, arrested or whatever." I'm like, "No, he's dying. Get him, hit him with a Narcan." They're like, "Are you gonna arrest him?" I'm like, "No. Like, what am I gonna arrest him for? It's a misdemeanor offense for because once they use whatever they have, like if you find a syringe on whatever, it's a citable offense. So it's like, what's the point of just, it's not gonna. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's good to hear that perspective from a police officer, and I think, like I said earlier, probably 95% of police officers have the same Maybe not 95%.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, but I think a lot of police officers.
I'm sure there's a lot of cops that would love to get off like work and smoke a joint and like relax. I'm sure there's plenty of them.
There probably are.
Yeah.
I mean, because a lot of at least what I've seen, a lot of cops I've worked with that I get along with and stuff like that. Like a lot of them have stuff in the past where like when they're kids they got into.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my brothers were all skateboarding around, waxing curbs and stuff, getting chased by cops a lot, stuff like that. But there are some though that start the profession because I think it's just maybe they got picked on in high school or something like that, and they thought, well, maybe I'll get a badge and stuff, and I got this because the badge. Some people think the badge means that they deserve respect automatically.
Yeah.
That's not the.
Yeah.
The badge just represents the police department you're working for. I mean, yeah, you put in work to get it, but to me, it doesn't mean who I am or anything like that.
Dude, when we would go to my mom had a badge when she was just a dispatcher, but she had a badge, and when we would go to the movies, she would go to pay and have her badge in her wallet. She would open it and like just hold it there for a second, and they would always give her a discount.
Oh,
she was such a loser
never
about
done
it,
that.
dude.
Well, the movie theater had a thing that they like. That's what they did.
think so, yeah.
They
A
gave.
lot
we
of
would-
like policies like yeah.
We would make fun of my mom all the time. Like, stop! I'm a dispatcher.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm a dispatcher.
Yeah, we would always say that.
I had a buddy of mine in the Marine Corps. We went to the movies, and he tried to pull that. He's like, hey, do you guys offer military discount? And this was, I felt so bad for this girl's like 16, working the ticket thing, and he's like, do you guys do military discounts? She's like, no, sir. And he was like, why not? And I'm like, dude, how's she gonna know?
Yeah, I'm
And
sure
she's
she
like,
made
I
the
don't,
policy.
Sir, I don't know. And he's like, okay.
Man,
And then after he paid, he was like, you're welcome for your freedom. And I was like,
Oh
no,
my
you.
gosh,
But
dude.
later he did it. He was just like, man, I don't care, because he's never. That's why I was surprised. He never was one to go out and ask. He's like, I just felt like messing with her. I'm like, so mean. dude.
Yeah, I don't know. And there's just something about that rubs me the wrong way when you're, because when I was working I still work at a pizza place, but people would be like, you offer a military discount? I'm like,
For pizza.
why are you asking? Like, I just feel like, I don't know. There's just something about, I respect the military, and if you came in uniform, I would probably give you a discount without you asking, but it's like,
Yeah, I don't.
and how am I going to, because I can't be like, well, show me proof.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there probably are people that were
Oh,
never in
that's
the
a thing. That's a big thing.
Yeah, it's
People
like-
wear
yeah.
like veteran hats and shit like
Call
that.
it, like stolen
that.
valor.
Yeah.
Those videos are fun. I don't know if you guys ever watched those. But
Yeah.
that's
dude,
another
it,
rabbit
it
hole to
makes
get
me
in.
so
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Oh, it's really weird. And at the same time too, I feel more weird. Is like the person that is in the military calling them. I get it. You're
Yeah.
calling, and I get. And but it's like, if that's your thing, then that's
Yeah.
weird that you go out looking for people that are fake and being, like,
Yeah. A vigilante.
yeah.
All right. On that note,
Wrap it up.
I'm gonna buy some camis and start getting discounts around town.
Go to the Army surplus store, dude.
All right. Well,
Thanks
sweet.
for being
Thank
on the
you. Yeah,
podcast.
that was a real
Good